Hi, and thanks for joining us on this week's episode of the Retirement Readiness Podcast. As always, we have Tim Regan, the founder here at Prairie View.
Hey, Katie.
Hi, and I'm Katie Umland, the head of marketing here. So this week we thought we would talk about part-time work in retirement. And that can mean a lot of different things. So
yes, and it's the whole gamut, right? You've got people that say part-time work in retirement, yay, and I have to have part-time work in retirement because I wasn't quite as successful planning as I thought I would be. And from our perspective, we really love part-time work in retirement. Just from the things that we've seen in our clients, it seems to us as though the people that don't go from and usually it's men, I think. A lot of times men can identify their identity with what they did and who they were is like my job. And so I
wake up and I go to work.
Yeah,
I come home and I
think it's just the way many times that men's brains are wired that that's just how they think. And so a lot of times we find that when somebody goes from all on to all off, it really is a shock to the system, and it's not always a great shock to the system. Some of the most successful people we see have been continuing some sort of work.
And all on at work and then all off and home together with your spouse.
Yay!
Like that's a shift that they probably have never done.
Yeah. Well, it's funny because I think you and I have probably talked about it before, but Sarah being a stay-at-home mom for her career, there was one time I said to her, I said, I was thinking maybe what if I retired like early and, I'm 45 now. I'm like, what if I retired in my mid 50s? And she looked at me, she said, well, what are you going to do? Because you're not coming here. She goes, I got a whole system.
I got my own thing happening.
I have a whole system and you're not messing it up. So,
and you're not a part of it every day.
Exactly. Exactly.
Well, that was even a shift for Alex and I when he started working. He was in the office downtown and then COVID happened. Now he's working remote. And it's the same thing now I'm only working 2 days a week. And when I'm home, he's coming up every hour to check in like, oh, what are you and Dylan up to? And I'm like, bro, I just put him down for a nap. This is my time.
Yeah, not the right time to be up here.
I really love you, but
Yeah,
I'm trying to get these dishes done real quick and then sit on the couch with a snack.
Yeah. Well, and the whole thing with that is that when I'm sure even for you, Katie, we've talked about, being a mom and having that kind of as part of your life, but then having the opportunity to go to work a couple of days. That's been refreshing, right?
Yeah.
It's been kind of nice. And so what we find is even as people retire, they're having the ability to have something else to do, somewhere to go, a schedule, some social interaction, all of those kinds of things really does ultimately, whether they need to continue working or not, really many times ends up being the healthier choice from a lifestyle perspective.
Okay. So when we first said that the topic was part-time work in retirement, I feel really confused I feel like I hear all the time, I can't go back to work. I can't make that much money.
Yep.
Like that. I don't really understand what that means. And that's confusing.
Yeah. No, great question. It's funny. Only in America, I think, where you could say, wait, making too much money is a bad thing? And the reason I say only in America is because only in America do you have those opportunities, right? Where you could really be unlimited in what you choose to do. And what happens is a lot of times what people are talking about is when you make more money, it changes the things that you have to pay tax on and how those taxes work. And so sometimes if you're before full retirement age, according to Social Security, and you're collecting early, like at 62, if you make too much money, you have to give some of your Social Security back. And so people look at it from a financial perspective and say, well, wait a minute. When I'm over that threshold, for every $2 I make, I give $1 of my Social Security back. That feels like I'm now working for nothing. Or if I'm over Social Security age, if I make too much money, I'm paying extra premium on my Medicare premiums. I'm paying extra tax. Maybe it moves me to a different tax bracket. And so it's those cost types of things that make people say that. But what we find is that there's plenty of options out there, and they range all over the place. We had one client whose dream it was, and he's living it right now actually, was that when he retired, he wanted to drive a school bus. That's what he's doing. Now, I don't know that would ever be my dream. That's not my idea.
Not of a relaxing retirement. To me.
No, but he loves
Thank
it.
goodness that's his dream though. I mean, how many bus driver wanted signs have we
How about it?
seen
everywhere
lately?
you turn?
So
yeah.
that's awesome.
But then there's others like for myself, I could see me very easily when I look to retire. I could see trying to sit on the board of maybe some companies, maybe sitting on the board of some not-for-profits and helping them with some of the business side of the things that we've learned over our career. I love it. That would be work that would be right up my alley. And to be honest, I probably don't care if I get paid for it, right? Mm-hmm. Because it's giving me purpose. It's giving me something to stay active. For other people, I've seen people that say, you know what? I've always loved baking. So I'm going to go 2 days a week and work in a bakery just because I love doing it. It's how do I transform what I was doing into, and again, not maybe linked to your old job, but transform what I was doing from I have purpose, I get up, I go somewhere, and having a way to do that in retirement as well.
I feel like it's amazing what a schedule and staying active does for you mentally. Even when on my days that I'm home with Dylan, it's like, okay, we eat breakfast at 8, he goes down at 9. Like having some sort of set schedule is really helpful for a lot of people.
Absolutely. Yeah. And to your point, many times it's easier on the marriage too, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I mean, that's even before kids, if you had kids, you likely weren't just home all day with your spouse.
Yep.
Every day. And let alone now, okay, you've had kids, you've been working for all these years, and now it's like you're together all the time. It's like you really have to find each other again.
Well, and even beyond that, what we find is that there are times when I'll use Sarah and I as the example. So Sarah's used to having her own system that she's running. I'm used to having mine. Well, if I come back into the house, that not only does it throw off her system, but now many times that spouse has some sense of guilt around, oh, well, I was going to go do my normal Tuesday afternoon thing. Oh, but Tim's home and he doesn't
want to hang out with him, or he wants to.
Or I don't really want to hang out with
him. I don't want to, but he wants to, and I feel bad about it.
Yeah. And to the point where, even I'm sure people can relate with this, Sarah and I used to do a lot of our like grocery shopping together. Mm-hmm. Now she's like, I'm going to the grocery store. I'll be back in a little while because they can get, we do things differently. And so
it's like, let's find our own activities.
Yeah, exactly. And so sometimes part-time work can not only keep your brain activated, keep you physically active, but sometimes it can be good to have that.
Your own things.
Your own thing to do. Yep.
Yeah. So who is working, who of your clients or what type of person should be looking for a job?
Yeah.
Like what does that
100%.
Could you describe what that looks like?
For sure. From our perspective, the clients who work fall into kind of a couple of different categories. We have those clients that work that really need to, that when they've saved for retirement, maybe they didn't get quite as much saved as they wanted to, but they want to retire before they probably technically can by how much money they have, but they don't want to work full time. And so a way that they can bridge that gap is to say, well, my retirement plan works if I work part-time 3 days a week, making this much extra money for the first 5 years or so in retirement. That helps to bridge the gap. Many times they're choosing to go somewhere where it's completely different than the work they did, because the reason they're looking to retire is they weren't really enjoying work at that point in their lives. And so a lot of times we have clients that fall into either I'm retiring from or I'm retiring to. Retiring from means I don't like what I'm doing anymore. I want to get out of here and I want to hang up my work shoes and just be done with it. Retiring to is the client that says, I want to travel. I want to see grandkids. These are the things I want to do, and work is not allowing me to do that. If you're in the first category, the retiring from, that's the client that looks to say, I'm okay working at Home Depot, which has a schedule that has me working sometimes in the afternoon, sometimes in the morning. I want that mental break. I want to not do what I was doing and do something that I enjoy. I enjoy talking to people about that kind of stuff, or working at the nursery, or, that kind of stuff. Clients that are retiring too, many times start to shift their work schedule more to fit what they're retiring to, rather than I'm looking for to get out of what I was doing. And so like the schedule of a Home Depot, for example, maybe doesn't work because they're like, no, what I'm retiring to has me wanting to work Tuesdays through Thursday and have the weekends off. So it really depends on kind of where they're coming into that conversation from. I think about one of our clients who is a golf starter. He loves being outside, likes to golf. Was never a huge golfer, but likes it.
What's a golf starter?
So that's the person on the course that like gets everybody ready and says, okay, now you can go, and kind of drives around.
Your tee time.
Yeah, your tee time, okay. And drives around, makes sure that the game's moving, kind of like a ranger, that kind of stuff. And for him, it works because when he was working, he was up at 3:30 every morning, early start. His wife doesn't get up that early. And so this is an opportunity for him. He gets out of the house. It's early. He's
got his own thing
outside doing his own thing. And then by the time he's wrapping up, now they can get together and go on with the rest of their day or whatever. So there's lots of variety to it. Or like we were just talking before, for people who enjoy what they're doing, sometimes it's just looking and saying, how can I continue to do the parts of my job that I love and get rid of the stuff that I don't? And that's why I think even for myself, I think when I retire, I would still want to be active in business in some capacity. Mm-hmm. I don't know for sure what that looks like, but it's probably looking like less like I go from, a 9 to 5, 3 or 4 days a week to it's sporadic times, it's thought time, it's that kind of stuff, but it's all business related because I love what I do and I'd like to continue that. So
just out of curiosity, do you find most people kind of stick with their jobs? Like you were saying, like, they're in their same field, maybe even their same company and just sparse back to 2 or 3 days a week? Or do you find that most people are doing like the more Home Depot, this is my interest route?
Yeah. So it really, if you would have asked me that pre-COVID, I probably would have said everybody's retiring, going to the Home Depot route or that kind of stuff, because companies were much different pre-COVID, as we all know. And there was not as much opportunity for work from home or for, we can break jobs up differently to find the right people. And so what we find is that because companies are becoming much more flexible in what those work schedules look like, we have a lot more clients that are able to say, oh, well, I retired, but now I'm consulting back to the company 2 days a week on these projects that I enjoy doing, that kind of stuff.
Just what's going through my head is if you're working part-time because you have to for your retirement, that might not look like 2 days at Home Depot.
Yep.
Like that might not be,
you'd be
supplemental
surprised.
enough.
Yeah, well, you'd be surprised because a lot of times when people are that close, they really are that close. Like they're the people that could choose to retire and live a lesser lifestyle. And they're saying, I don't want the lesser lifestyle.
Sure.
And by having a little bit of extra money, because if you think about, let's say, even if I was making an extra $1,500 a month, in today's world, $1,500 might buy you 2 cartons of eggs.
Yeah, right.
But if you said, let's say I'm making $1,500 a month, well, that adds up to $18,000 over the course of a year. I can take 2 nice trips on that kind of money. And so my retirement maybe got me, and what I saved got me to where I could do a certain amount of things, but really working those extra couple of hours allows me to do some other fun stuff that.
So I'm always thinking about, like, what's that balance look like? Like, where do you find value? Like Alex and I often talk, like, if I wasn't working here, what would I work somewhere? Would I stay home? If we're talking about, hey, I could work at Kohl's part-time, is that going to pay me enough to want to leave the house?
Well, and that's where the balance comes in, because we have that conversation at our house quite frequently, as where Sarah talks about, well, what would I even go do? I've been out of the workforce now for 25 years. What would I go do? And she's like, would I go to like Kohl's or something? But that doesn't really fill her up. That's not where she would get energy. Where she would get energy would be more helping out at a school, going in and reading to kids maybe at lunchtime or that kind of stuff, which may not be a paying job, but it's something that has regularity. I have responsibility. It's those
different
types of
benefits,
things. Correct.
Not just financial benefits.
Correct. And so a lot of times when we talk about this part-time work concept, sometimes it's not like work I get paid for. Sometimes it is I go into the secondhand store and fold clothes or sort things for the Morningstar mission or whatever. And it's a way that I can give back. But I go every Tuesday from this time to this time, or the food pantry. So work doesn't have to mean I get a paycheck at the end of it. It really just means, what am I doing and how am I filling?
What cup am I filling?
Exactly. Yeah. Which ultimately, from our perspective, what we've seen, just by having some of that purpose, we really see how clients live a much longer, more fulfilling retirement many times because they're staying active.
Well, it's exactly like we say all the time. We want to help them live their legacy with confidence. And that's just goes straight to it. Like, it doesn't have to be, I need to make money at this job. You can be working for other things.
Absolutely. So. Yeah. Well, and it's funny because we even talk to our kids. So we're in this stage of life where, for those who might not know, I've got my oldest daughter's 24, married and is a school teacher. I've got another daughter, 20, getting ready to graduate college, and then a son going into college next year, and a daughter who's a sophomore in high school. And we talk to our kids all the time from our perspective in our home. Our value proposition and decision tree looks much more like, find what you love and will have a passion for, and let's pursue that, rather than where can I make the most money and pursue that. Now, I'm not saying go get a degree in underwater basket weaving. Yeah. There has to be some practicality here. You have to be able to make a living and that kind of stuff. But from our perspective, you can have so much more rich of a life. And wealth in our mind does not come from what my balance sheet says. I mean, there's a component to that, obviously. But wealth in my life really says, did I fill all of my potential, all of my God-given potential, the best that I could in all the areas that...
It's funny how everybody thinks about it differently. And not to say that Alex and I don't feel similar to that, but just Alex in particular has a different value proposition. Yep. He values stability and safety in his work. Yep. And he would rather find his purpose outside of what he does 9 to 5. And so it's just funny how everybody has their own sense of what that means to them.
Absolutely. And I think that carries over into your retirement plan. So when you're talking about what kind of jobs do people get, there are some people that say, I'm only going to work part-time if I can financially benefit from it, because that's their value proposition. Yep. There are other people that say, no, you know what? I'm sick of working all the time just to get a paycheck. I want to go do something I love, and that is working in a nursery or at a bakery or whatever. I'm going to follow my pursuits of my enjoyment. And people on both sides of it.
Yep. Awesome. Well, thank you so much for joining us today as we talked about part-time work in retirement. Maybe not as fun as like traveling in retirement, talking about part-time work. But
well, and so also for all of you that are potentially thinking about that, we do have some spots open up for review right now.
Wait, at the start of this, when you said we love retirement work, I thought, is he trying to say we have some filing to do?
Well, even beyond that,
greeting customers, clients,
and even beyond that, what we found a lot is in the business world today, there's a lot of opportunity for people to join a business like ours in a professional capacity, but not have to do it 80 hours a week, right? That they can do it in a part-time capacity. And we're seeing that across the board. I many times have thought, is there a way that I could just put an ad up that says, does your wife want you out of the house? Yeah. and you love business? Give us a call, you know, because I think that there's a lot to that. And so sometimes it just means changing your perspective of what does that part-time work
does that mean?
Look like. Yeah. So hopefully people will find that way to live their legacy with confidence, and we can be a part of it.
Well, thank you so much. If you found any of this valuable, please like our Facebook page and subscribe to our YouTube channel. And we will talk to you soon. Thank you.
Be well.